example. In this video, we will talk about Lambda and how we are use Lambda and what Lambda is good for. Okay. For example, in the first variables that we have sum a, then we can pass in the parameter or argument inside this variable, then return the informations for us. Then when we call this information, all we have to do just pass in the data, and simply will print out the sum of this data for us. If I will run this information or run this code, it will pass in and bring out the assumptions between these two. Okay, if I will change one of them to 5, for example, and run it, and it will be the same thing. Added another 2, which is 5 plus 5 is equal to 10. So this is how you do it for integer, but in the same time you can use something like this, int, that means 2 integer. Also you can add double or whatever information that you want. Then you want it to return something, so this way x it's for the first value, and y for the second value, then return the information that we want, which it should be integer. If it is something else, then it will give us an error. Okay, for example, you can use the same thing for inside the function. So we have a function and download data. So assuming you will have some data and you need this data to download from the internet, and you have an image URL, which is a string, and the completion. Okay, and if this image URL is complete, then it will complete, then we are good to go. Okay, for example, in this information, in this data, that we will get back the messages. Okay, and if the message is true, assume that this if statement, the first if statement is we go through the informations, and we get back all the informations, and if the information from the servers come back safely, then it's true. If it is true, then print out this line of code. If not, then print out this line of code. And if I will go outside, and if I will say, for example, if I will just simply say get all message, okay, and here if you see right away is give us the lambda, which is the curly bracket. Okay, if I will say enter, then let's say it's boolean right here. Okay, and we will say if true, or we can just say if you see here it, or we can just simply copy this completions and bring it right here and paste it here, then do the arrow, something like this. Then we can say if completion is completion, that means if it is true, then we can do something here. We can do something here. For example, if we get the data, if we get the information, we can just simply come here and print out this information. Okay, if I will play, and you can see we did it. Okay, so in our cases we just print out the simple line, but for you might refresh your table view, or refresh your recycler view or list view, wherever you are using to display these messages. You have to refresh these informations to bring the list of data and passing through the informations, which we will going to learn more about it later on when we talk about inside the applications, and actually you will see something happen. But right now, make sure you will understand how you can use the lambda. So the lambda is simple. All you have to do is sorry about that. All you have to do, you have a function, Then inside these functions you have completion, which can be passed in something, which this something is wholesome information for you, and later on you can use this information. This boolean is kind of like a variable, which a box of informations which collect the informations if you pass in something or you ask them to, something will happen. Okay. Then at the end we will bring out unit, which is nothing. Okay, so we will say, okay, we have this boolean which we not have any informations on it, but after this function is complete and we get to the point that we will get this information, we will set the value for this one, and this can be a class name, can be a different things that later on in the next video we will talk about it, how we can use them. If there is a class name here, and we will pass in the data into this informations, and then later on we can access this data right here. Okay, so that's all about Lambda, and we will talk about it later in depth when we actually create the applications from the Android Studio. But right now, make sure you will understand and go search in Google what's Lambda and how you can use Lambda in Kotlin language, and it's pretty easy. You have to make at the beginning maybe it's a little bit hard to understand, but simply is like a variable. This is this information inside this close and open bracket is a variable which hold the information for you. Later on you can access them, and the information mostly is a boolean, which you can say true or false, or if the information is successful then true, and most of the information is have a thread, and if have thread then it will not successful, which is false. If it is false, then it's something wrong. Maybe the data that have or made this information not go pass through. Maybe the person has no internet. Maybe the server is sleeping. Maybe many things happening in the backends. Maybe your server is already full of informations, and you have to pay the subscriptions for it. Then it will open it again and start loading the data for you again. So sometimes it's not your mistake if your code is not working, but later on we will get to that. But right now the most important things learn or understand that Lambda is the information that you pass into the variable, or pass into the function or variable or whatever, and later on you can access to this information. Like for example here we access this completion, then whenever this completion is okay, then we will say it's